We obviously could not all enter because the office would not accommodate us, so we divided and some were left in the waiting room. Some of us went in, but eventually he has seen all the visiting lawyers who have come in as observers. And we have agreed that, or rather we have pointed out to him, as of today, the prisons have no valid warrant to be able to continue holding Dr. Chisa Besigye and Obed Lutare, as the court at Makindye did not sit today following the court's ruling. It means the warrant has not been extended for detention. But the commissioner requires, the prisons require the advice of the Attorney General. So there are certain actions to be taken to expedite that, and that's what we are going to do. But we realize that, yes, we need to engage the Attorney General's office. We already were in the process of doing that, but we needed to point out to the prisons that they have no valid warrant to continue remanding our clients. Yeah. But we all know that any government department relies on the advice of the Attorney General. Our call is to the Attorney General to expedite, because this situation is untenable. Should they fail to release Dr. Besigye and Lutale today, they will be holding them illegally. Yeah.
Yes, sons. Yeah. We raised it and discussed it, and in his own words, he assured us that they don't want to turn prisons into a rogue force. Those are his words. A rogue force, meaning that they operate outside the law, continuing remanding Dr. Besigye, Obed Lutale and other political prisoners without valid remand warrant, because the warrant expired today, and even if it were not to expire this morning, it had been quashed by the Supreme Court on Friday. He recognizes that fact. And he told us that immediately, because he was following the proceedings, that immediately he reached out to the Attorney General for advice. And since then, he has been waiting for that communication from the Attorney General. And as he's seated in the office there, he's waiting for the communication from the Attorney General. And we had to give him that benefit of doubt for today, rather for now, as we also pursue it with the Attorney General. But it can't last for long, because if it is never to come, of course we have to take other measures, and we're already exploring taking other measures. We can't wait for the Attorney General. The Attorney General came and gave his opinion in the court, which was quashed. The Supreme Court rejected the opinion of the Attorney General. And now, his opinion on the existence of the General Court Martial, now what is left is implementation of or enforcement of the Supreme Court decision. And this is what we want, and it has to be done today and now. So it's the reason we are following it up with the Attorney General, and again coming back here. So we are not seated, we are just going to follow it up. We are not going to let the state organs or agencies take their time, because this is a matter of rights.
And we are saying also because Uganda is a democracy. The Constitution declares it a republic. Uganda is also a member of the East African community. One foundational principle is the rule of law principle. So we are very hopeful that upon the decision of the Supreme Court being explained and broken down to all the institutions from the highest to the lowest involved, that they will all opt to obey the rule of law. The Constitution is supreme, and the Constitution reflects the will of all Ugandans, whichever branch of the government they belong to. So we are hopeful, and now we are going to put in some more work towards the release of our clients.
In that list, just release those who are in prison.
We can't answer for him, but once a warrant expires, any continued detention is illegal and contrary to the law, a violation of the Constitution, a violation of the orders of the Supreme Court. Asante.
You cannot hold on to somebody, keeping them in illegal custody, just because you are processing the files to be transferred from the General Court Martial to the traditional courts. That would also be untenable under the Constitution. But even then, we have explained and want to reaffirm this position. the files before the General Court Martial were not sanctioned by the DPP. And Article 120 of our Constitution requires that any criminal prosecution in our ordinary courts must be sanctioned by the Director of Public Prosecutions. So you cannot get that file right from the General Court Martial straight to the civilian courts without any sanction from the DPP. That would also be unconstitutional. So a direct transfer of the files from the General Court Martial to the ordinary courts is also untenable. It's not possible. So they are in a catch-22 situation. The only option they have is to release Dr. Besigye. Just only that. They have no choice under the law. They have no any other option but to release Dr. Besigye. But I would request the council you introduce the visiting team.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's important.
We
have some jurists.
once again have with us Monsieur Larifou Said from the Comoros. He practices law both in Paris and in Comoros. And like I mentioned, he was the lead lawyer for Ousmane Sonko, who is now the Prime Minister of Senegal. We also have with us Madame Gloria Kimani, a council member of the Law Society of Kenya, specifically tasked by the Law Society of Kenya to come here as an observer. She is a jurist from Kenya. We have Emily. Emily is from Kenya but works in Arusha for the Pan-African Lawyers Union, PALU. So she is here as an observer from PALU, representing that Pan-African body. We have Ronald Ebole. Ronald Ebole is from Amnesty International. He is here as an observer. We have Generali Ulimwengu from Tanzania, a jurist but here as an observer. He's also a journalist like yourselves. He writes a column on the East African. We have
Mpale
Mpoki, a jurist from Tanzania, and he has been at the top of the leadership of the Tanganyika Law Society. He is here as an observer. We have with us also from Tanzania, but working with Pan-African Lawyers Union. Together with Emily, they are here representing that Pan-African body. Anybody I have left out? There are others who have already gone to another meeting. We detailed them. We have two others from Kenya who are not here. We have a very large team of observer team this time round. But number of observers is about 10, I believe. And it would have been more were it not for the decision of the Supreme Court on Friday. This case is eliciting interest all over the world, especially the jailing of a lawyer in the course of the duty and the trial of civilians in the court-martial.